YouTube, what's going on? Tonight I wanted to talk a little bit more about the possibility of an economic collapse crisis. Economic crisis in light of some of the recent events that we've been experiencing over the past few days with the stock market, China's stock market, and on and on. And I wanted to give a little bit of my thoughts about the situation and some of the things I'm doing to prepare and some of my suggestions that I have. So let's get right into it. So the question is are you prepared for a financial crisis? And to me, that is the question. It's a crisis, okay? And if the thing collapses, we're going to have a crisis on our hands. So let's focus on a crisis here, because that's what we're going to all have to be dealing with and reacting to. If something major and catastrophic, the absolute worst thing happens, we're going to have a crisis on our hands. We're all going to have to deal with it, and we're all going to have to work through it. Okay? So as you all know, the country has been in a real funk since 2008, when basically the markets crashed. The stock market didn't just go kaput, but the thing just bombed. Okay, the housing markets bombed. Everybody should have or did get a major reality check about speculation and the markets, and that the housing bubble was speculation, and speculation. And so we've been, and since 2008, we've been we've been propping up the economy with fiat currency, with printing money. So what do I think is going to happen? I don't know. I don't know just as much as you don't know what's going to happen. And when you meet somebody who says they know exactly what's going to happen, they're full of shit. They don't know any more than you do. So be careful who you listen to and you take information and advice out there. What do I think is going to happen? What do I think they're going to do? Well, I've always thought that they're going to just keep doing what they've always been doing, and that's printing more money and more money and more money and just keep inflating the dollar. So they don't want to let things crash. They don't want to let things organically rebuild themselves. So these are just some of my thoughts on it here. I do want to talk about dealing with the crisis, though. I want to give a lot of credit right now to a person that enlightened me with the idea of owning an RV. Okay, and he still has a YouTube channel, but he doesn't do videos anymore. His name was Gary with Bug Out Vehicles. He did a video a couple of years ago, and he was just talking about how you're viewing an RV as an insurance policy. As an RVer, you really have got some major steps on other people who don't have RVs, or who aren't living full time in their RVs. Living full time in your RV, you're mobile. You can leave. You can go to somewhere else. You can move to another town. You can live. You can get out of the cities, and you can create a lifestyle, similar to what I'm doing right now. I am living in a very rural area. I'm living in a town of a population about 10,000 people, and I'm over 3 hours away from a major city. So if something major goes down, I am living in a pretty safe area. Having an RV during a financial crisis can be a major asset for you if you don't already have one. One of the reasons why we live in our RVs full time is because we want ultimate freedom. That's the main goal. And then we also want to be independent from these types of situations. We want to insulate ourselves from some of these crises that could potentially happen. Next thing I want to talk about is self-employment. Being self-employed should be your goal. If you're not already self-employed, you should start part-time on your weekends doing something, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Get out there, practice, start building a name for yourself, and start learning how to be an entrepreneur. There are no excuses today to not doing your own thing. There's so many tools available to leverage yourself, to leverage your skills, to leverage your knowledge, to leverage your assets out there into the marketplace. There is no excuses for anybody not to be doing some type of a side gig business. Your employer goes belly up, or they fire you on the spot, or for whatever reason, you can generate income for yourself, and that is a major, major asset. The best moves that I have made in my lifetime is making the decision to go self-employed and make it happen. You know, when you wake up in the morning as a self-employed person, you've got a couple questions. You got a couple questions that you ask yourself. Now, the first one is how do I create value in the marketplace? And the second one is what problems are there out there that I can solve? Okay, those are the kind of questions that you ask yourself when you get up in the morning when you're self-employed. When you work for somebody else, the question you ask yourself is, how do I sell my time? And during economic times of hardship and crisis, there's a lot of problems. And in some cases, there's even more problems than when times are really good. Be and get self-employed. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is food, water, and shelter. All right? Those three things right there, I don't care who you are, I don't care how much money you have, I don't care how many people you know. You have to have all three of those things or it's game over. Food stuff, it doesn't have to be the exotic, ready-to-eat meal bags. You know, those are very expensive. No, just break it down and get it simple. We're talking rice, we're talking beans. You buy big bags of rice, and you stock up. You stock up on this stuff. You know, we're talking survival food for yourself, okay? That you can get yourself through this crisis when it is total chaos out there. You got to have containers to haul water, have a water purification equipment to purify water. I don't think, depending on where you live, your water situation could be different. Like where I am at right now, water is in a very abundant supply. I mean, I could go up into the mountains, into the river, and I could just probably take it right out of the river and be fine. So water, you have to have a plan for how you're going to get water, or have it nearby. Shelter, okay? I've talked about the RVs. You know, you had to have some kind of a backup plan for shelter. And that backup plan, it can be as simple as having a tent. There are some awesome tents out there, and having a good tent that you can take care of yourself or your family in. And then, you know, and the next thing, it could be a vehicle, could be converting, you know, if you got a van, you know, a minivan, you know, converting that into a bed, you know, in the back that you could sleep in. Your car, it could be a boat, it could be, you know, maybe making plans if you've got if you've got some friends that have property in the mountains with an old building or an old shed, and you know, maybe you could talk to them and ask them about, well, you know, could I use that space to live in if I needed to? Could I sleep there if I needed to? Last thing that I want to talk about is having stacks of cash on hand. We've all seen what happened in Greece, okay, with the banking system and everybody running to the banks and trying to get money. You got to have hard, cold cash on hand, okay? Store it somewhere. If you're worried about it, put it in a safe, put it in a cache, and hide it out in the woods somewhere. Okay, there's many, many places you can store and you can hide cash. No excuses. You got to have ample supply of cash on hand, because if we have a major crisis on our hands where we've got to run on the currency and everybody is running to the cash machines to get money, you're not going to be able to get money. It's not going to happen. There's going to be too many people flooding the banks to get cash. It's just not going to happen. And if you need to put gas in your car or whatever, you know, and you don't have any cash, I see it all the time. You got to get away from the plastic, guys. You got to go cash. That plastic stuff, you know, it's a joke. It's a joke in a major crisis and a major collapse. So have stacks of cash. That's basically my take on preparing for a crisis. And there's a lot more to this stuff, and there are some awesome videos out there on YouTube. Go check them out. And until next time, we will see you on the next video. Take care and peace.